A Sunday at Mike's, another Sunday evening, another week gone by. I hope you all are doing well. I thank you all for taking the time to show up. Time is such a valuable thing, I always say. Start out by saying, and I do mean it, and you spending a little bit of yours with me is greatly appreciated. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Well, how is everybody out there today? I am doing quite well. Going to jump around a little bit tonight. Going to jump around a little bit tonight. Not one particular thing, but a couple of things that kind of caught my eye this week or happened to me this week that I thought was interesting. So I thought I would share them with you. The first thing is, I think I talked about, first of all, actually, let me check my framing here. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. I like that. Lighting's good, framing's good. Okay, that works for me. Ben, welcome. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for showing up as always, Ben. I do appreciate you always being one of the first ones to chime in. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Thank you. Makes it so that I don't feel like I'm talking to myself here. There is that as well. Um, well, at least at first. Yeah, I had an issue where I sold an item. Mr. Watson in the house. Welcome. Where I sold an item, Frederick Rogers in the house, all the way from Ireland. Welcome to my bit of the neighborhood, Mr. Rogers. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you taking the time to watch this evening there. I sold this item on Reverb, and in the case of this one, when you send things internationally here in the Netherlands, you have to use the PostNL portal and their website in order to first tell them what it is and where it's going and the appropriate price. And they set all that. Even you can pay for it at the post office, but usually you sell it even before you walk in. And you go to the post office, they print out a label there, put it on your box, and off to the races it goes. House done funk in the house. Beat the crowd tonight. Well, I just said that it's like in the beginning when there's nobody, it's kind of daunting talking to a camera and nobody there. Dewey, sir, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you showed up, Dewey. Good to see you. So, in the case of this particular item, PostNL didn't print. It went to New York. And PostNL did not print the first three letters of this gentleman's address, which is useless. And this was now this I will give myself 20% on this one because I should have checked the package a second time before it went out. But usually there you hand it over, they slap it on, they hand you the receipt, you pay for it, and you walk on. And during that time, I should have checked that they had done that, but I didn't. I tried to reach out to Reverb, they were useless, and I had to refund him about 200 euros. So, and the package is in limbo on its way back. It's supposed to be back to me. It's coming from New York. Distance wise, not so bad. The whole overall vibe of it pretty bad. But we'll see if I get it back. And it just was that was three strikes. I have a three-strike rule. And Reverb has certainly hit those three strikes. First strike, I think I told you guys, I sold a snare drum. And I didn't know this at the time. And it wasn't upon later on looking at another guy who was talking about Reverb and why he quit. Acoustic guitar collector or dealer, private dealer. And he said that there was a scam where you would send an item to a customer, they would claim some problem or this, that, or the other. And most of the time, Reverb sides with the buyer, mostly. At least that's the impression that they give. That may or may not prove out to be, but I would say that's how it certainly feels like. and they do nothing in order to change that perception. And it's a scam where you end up giving them 10% back. And so, or whatever they ask back. And it just the nuisance of it. Oh, but well, just send it back to me. Oh, no, it's damaged now. This guy said, well, how could you damage in 24 hours? You know, well, just give me back 10%. And it's usually just worth it just to give it to them. And so that was strike two. And then before, some other issues similar to that, just dealing with guys, hey, this doesn't work when it gets to the other end. It's just the quality of the people buying and selling, I have to say, on Reverb that has really turned me off of it, so much so that I can say bye bye Reverb. I settled the transaction with this guy. I gave him his refund. So now I'm totally done. I'm totally clear. So I'm going to pretty much well let that go out on a high, I think. Freddie in the house, how you doing? Welcome, welcome, sir. Good to have you here. um the fees are, they say, well, we'll only charge you 7.5% or something like that. And that's not true at all, because if you start adding in a bunch of other fees that they tack on, like the bump fee, for example, hey, you want to get your product out there, to the front of the line, so to speak, 36, what was that, like 36,000 or something like that, strats. You want to get yours in the front of that line to be seen, just pay us an extra 3, 4, 5, 6, percent. And it adds up. It adds up, and it just wasn't working for me. And so, and also, I suspect, in a lot of ways, or at least it's been my observation, that if I have a guitar and I take it to one of my clients, whether they're a shop or whether they're a private person, and they're checking the price on it, well, what's this really worth? I've already done my homework, so it's kind of pointless. But anyway, I let them go through the exercise, and they generally check reverb. And when you have a situation on reverb where the secondhand market is being artificially driven up by, we've been through this, through irresponsible buyer's remorse. Hey, I bought this for 17. How come I can't sell it for 17? Um, uh, your usual, jackers, they're jacking up the price on, hey, this is the brand new whatever. And if you want to get it, I got one, but I'm going to tag 50% on it. And scalpers, I guess, is another way of looking at that. And then just, it's just a place that has a lot of prices that I don't think are really realistic. And then you have people using those as a basis to check their prices off of. And I think that's problematical. I'm starting to see that, and it is problematical. Now, I've decided to end it at a high. I had a stellar rating. I got the little, blue mark, whatever that's for, whatever that's worth, and never had a bad rating on my shop. And I had it open for 5 years or so. But I'm done. I'm done. That was it for me. Um, I have to say that for small knickknacks is really what I was using it for. I wasn't really using it for. I have a separate website for my vintage guitars, but just for little knickknacks and things like that that I just didn't want, or I bought something and it just didn't end up working and I didn't need it, so I would do that. But it's not even worth that. It's not worth the hassle. It's just not worth it. So bye bye Reverb for Mike's Attic. It was a fun ride while it lasted, and yeah, bye bye to you. Thanks, I guess, for what, I'm not sure. When I first signed in, of course, it was a different company, and so there's that. Usually when you switch pitchers in the middle of a game, it can go south on you real quick. So there's that. So bye bye Reverb. It was a fun ride while it lasted. And I'm not the only one. This seems to be a common sentiment. A lot of people, especially guys who've been on there for quite a while, are starting to drop off. I read of one guy who was using it as part of his business model in order to move items through them. And I think that's a bad idea to have an unreliable business partner like that. I really think and unreliable at, you, you try to get through them, try to call them, try to send them a text, try to send them a pigeon message, like, you know, send them something like that, because it's just a waste of time. You might as well send snail mail. And so there's that. I wouldn't partner up with them. As a matter of fact, I'm de-partnered with them. So there's that. Did you guys notice that there's a new pedal out there this week? I'm about to talk a little smack, just a little bit. Uh, you know, because the rollout this week of the Tonex One pedal was monumental in its mind numbiness. I just, as an exercise, decided that I would count to see how many YouTubers in our space, this space, received this pedal as a paid promotion. And I stopped counting after 30 or 35. I'm not kidding. And these were all launched within a 48-hour window. So you had about, I'm going to estimate around 50. And this pedal is going for about, with shipping and everything, you can basically say about 200 euros. I'm saying that they probably gave about 50 of those out. So about 10,000 euros they spent uh, um, in lieu of a traditional advertising campaign, I suppose, putting out to these influencers. Um, and it was just astounding. It's one of those things. And this is my note to IK Multimedia, the company that produces it. One note on your brief, I suppose, that you could put in there in the future. Well, first of all, you could have done it instead of with 50 YouTubers. You really could have done it with, let's just be generous and say half of that, but I think much less. Let's say half of that. And because when you have that many YouTubers coming out with a product all at the same time, it kind of turns some people off because it's too much. It's too much of a blitz, and it comes across as the blitz of the week. you know. And in this space, there's people who do it subtly, and those are some of the pedals that we'll talk about pedals tonight. Those are some of the pedals that there are some pedals out there that didn't launch with half of that amount of blitz, and they are well renowned and well liked because they're a good thing in themselves. And I'm not saying that I don't think that you've come up, Tonex folks, IK Media, with something great. I think you have. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the way that you went about with your launch, I think, was a little heavy-handed, and it turned some people off. Certainly turned me off a little bit. I was like, "Oh my god!" And again, a note for your brief: tell the people who you do send it to stop using words like "game changer." If I had a dime for every video that I saw that said it was a game changer, I'd have a lot of dimes. MTS Guitar 5150. You've never had the chance to get the best profile tones at such a low price. Totally agree. That was a strong pedal campaign. I haven't seen one like that in a while. It's a little too heavy. It's a little too heavy and unnecessary because I think that they have a good thing going. I think they got a good product. But when you got guys, every other guy saying it's a game changer, it makes guys like me I say, really? How? How exactly is this a game changer when I could think of the Universal Audio Dream, a little bit different, but in the same category, the most recent Boss pedal, the IR2, and then this, which though the IR2 and this one are comparable in that regard. So exactly where are we having the game changing here? And so, other than the size, and there is a move in the pedal market uh, to really push the micro pedal board. Just have 6, 7 micro pedals of good quality, and you got it all that you need right there. And so I'm with that, and I've been a proponent of that myself. As you know, I keep a small pedal board as not as an exercise of getting the best out of that amount of space. I don't want the freaking Death Star. If you've seen those pedal boards, it looks like ignition is set, push the button, and the beam kills Alderaan. But I don't want that. I really kept it to a small pedal board, and stuff like this really speaks to me. But when you come out with such overkill on it, it sours one a little bit. Patrick Jean LeBanc Hardy. Good evening, everyone. It's 4:14 p.m. here. Did you say Tonex pedal? Yes, I did. Have you heard of it? Maybe you haven't heard of it. My YouTube feed timeline with over 20 YouTubers. What's your take on this pedal? SRH, I'm late, but I'm here. You're welcome to all of you guys. Yeah, I'm giving my take. And as far as I was just saying that I stopped counting after 35 YouTubers. I really went through and tried to count how many people mentioned it. And I just stopped. It got ridiculous. And I think it's about 50 pedals at 200 euros each, about 10,000 euros spent on their ad campaign they did on that. And that's not a lot because they can make that up, the 50 pedals that they gave away. I'm sure they'll sell more than 50 pedals. But I think that it was just a bit too much for, again, a pedal that is interesting to me. But to use terms like game changer, is it a game changer? How is it a game changer? Exactly. Again, like I said, when there's so many, well, not so many, but there's a growing number of pedals in the market that are comparable. And so not really. No. it's 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 great for some applications, but a game changer, that's a little strong. So again, those are my two notes. Maybe a little less YouTube launch in terms of YouTubers. There's some guys out there who proven themselves to be the ones to go to review pedals that just about everybody gets in their feed in this space. And I think if you limit it to, again, like I said, 25 is being generous. I think I can name 10 guys that you could have given it to, and it would have made just as much of an impact. Saves you a little bit on your on your budget as well. So those are the only two notes that I really have in terms of the rollout. It was a little heavy-handed, but it is a interesting piece. So there's that. MTS Guitar 5150. Most of the other comparable pedals are twice the price, and the only thing, 200 subs full profiles. I want one for sure. Yeah, you gotta get one, buy one, get one. We're gonna go through it tonight. We're gonna talk this pedal tonight. We're gonna talk about this pedal. We're gonna put it up against the Boss IR2, and we'll go through the stats here. We're gonna talk about as a wild card the Dream, which is the Universal Audio Dream, which was the first one that got me interested in adding something like this to my pedal board in lieu of the Cab Zeus that I used to have. I used to have the Cab Zeus Mono, and quite frankly speaking, the Cab Zeus Mono was an awesome pedal. It was awesome for what it did. And in terms of price, we're going to talk about price too, because there's some hidden prices to these pedals as well. There's some hidden costs. So it certainly is something to consider. We'll go through that. One of the interesting things of the few reviews that I did sit through, just to get a general gist of the pedal and to see if it was what it appeared to be, what it was, said to be. It was interesting to me that the most common use I think that people would have for this is throwing it on a pedal board with other pedals in front of it, I suppose. And I didn't see any reviews really of them using it in that manner. I saw just about every review of it using it as a standalone pedal. And so I guess that's a third note. Let's try to get more people to use it in more realistic settings. Just sitting it by itself and using it. Pete Thorne did a great review of it, but even in his case, he was using it just every tone came out of this kind of thing, as opposed to let me put it in a board and do those kind of things. And does it work with every pedal too? Because I told you, one thing I know about pedal boards after putting enough of them together is that not every pedal works with each, work well. Sometimes you'll get a lot of noise, and it being the main culprit. Sometimes you won't get the tone out of a pedal feeding into another one that you would get out of another pedal. There's a lot of variables there. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind. How well would this thing work with the other pedals on my board? Because I think that would be the most common use. The fact of the matter is, according to their website, the Tone X1 amp and distortion stomp box pedal with AI machine modeling. Yeah, throw AI, whether or not. Let's throw AI in there so everybody says, "Oh, cool, AI." Let's put that one aside. Suitable for guitar and bass. That's interesting to me because right now for recording bass, I'm using this Harley Benton bass DI expander, which, by the way, I have had some really expensive bass DIs, and I've had this one, and this one's kicked their butts. I'm totally happy with this, especially for what I paid for it. It's a fantastic sounding piece, but the Tone X1s sounds like it could again, do this and a little bit more, or work in conjunction with this is the thing that I'd be interested in. This has balanced and unbalanced inputs and outputs on it. Another thing that makes it kind of awesome, the Tone X1 does not, but let's read on. Suitable for guitar and bass, 20 presets can be saved on the pedal. Let's stop there. That's interesting to me because this thing has models of not only amps and cabinets uh, and heads, it also has there's profiles available of most popular stomp boxes. You get an 808, you get a Klon, I suppose, modeled in this thing, and depending upon your song or situation, that would be fantastic. That's the thing that really butters my bread about this one. If you excuse the euphemism, is that you can assign. I could potentially have 20 modeled, stomp boxes in this thing. Uh, Maybe that Jeter, somebody's modeled that Jeter pedal that I want out there, and that would be awesome. Will it be quite the same? Again, let's just be clear that I am of the camp that there's still that 5% between the real thing and the modeling, but it's close enough. That's exciting to me, and that's the thing about this pedal that I'll end. 20 presets, and they can be whatever. Can be edited via the Tonex librarian. Now, here is where, in the very next sentence, where I have a small concern. And it's been the concern that I've had for a while. Um, uh, and it kind of started with that universal audio dream, which we'll get to in a minute here. And that is the fact that it takes an app to support. Now, you can run these pedals without the app. However, a lot of the detailed editing, especially in the case of the Boss IR2, is really done with the software. I'm sorry, I have it here in Dutch, but this is, yeah, I can read that enough. And you don't need again, like I said, to do that. It comes stock. All these pedals come stock with IRs loaded in already. Uh, in every review I've heard of all three of these pedals is that the stock IRs and all of I'm sorry, between the not all three, but the stock IRs in the Moss and in the Tonex suck. That's just basically they said that any IR other than the stock IRs that it comes with um, kind of would be a better move for you. So there is that. What do we got here? Let me catch up. So the tone Patrick. So the Tonex pedal is like a U.S. Marine. Only need this one pedal versus 15 pedals. Is that what they're selling us? Yeah, that's what they're selling you. And no, and it ain't gonna quite work out like that because I see it. You're using it either as a as your amps mauler, your cabinet mauler, or you're using it as a stomp. And of course, it does a lot more than that. You could actually link some of those up again using the app and software, where you have certain stomps going through certain amps, going through certain cabinets. That's fascinating. But as an all-in-one thing, no, I wouldn't rely. No, if I was recording, that was all that I had, I wouldn't be really happy about that. Again, that's why I said it's not really the game changer that they said it is, but it is a fantastic tool, a brand new fantastic tool to have in your toolbox. That's what I think it really is. I bought the original Tonex, and not being very computer savvy made it basically useless to me. Yeah, I tried it, but ended up returning it. Yeah, that's the thing. You know, okay. Look, man, I got burned by some of the software that I was purchasing in order to do the companies. I don't they who shall not be named. And I think you guys know who I'm talking about, or those that I'm talking about, that switched over to a subscription model on me, and I lost. And then they said, no, no, okay, well, there was so much backlash. They said, no, we're going to make it so that for you, those of you guys who have the lifetime, guarantee, which was meaningless, we're going to make it available so you to get your stuff back. But trust me, I have tried, and they have put so many loops and hoops on it, I just gave up. I said, you know what, screw you guys. I will eventually, if I did go back into serious recording, I would go back into buying hardware. You only need, a few pieces of hardware, especially if you're one man band, because you're not really using them to run eight, at a time. You're doing them one at a time. So it's a lot better option, and I don't have to deal with software. And yes, that's my issue is what happens with this Tonex or the Boss 5 to 10 years from now in terms of support on these. These software-based pedals are the things that concern me. They concern me because let's say hypothetically in the next 5 to 10 years, and they change companies, or somebody else buys the company, or this, that, or the other, and they move on, or they move on to subscription service if you want to use the stuff that they have. We got you locked in, we got you with these pedals now. Now we're going to start a subscription service on the parts that were before free. And so there is that. The Boss IR, on the other hand, very awesome and easy to use, sounds great. And the Boss pedal is half the price, maybe even more than half. Again, the Boss pedal, is that right? I know that the Tonex pedal is $179, but like I said, when you count in the shipping on that, Tomon is selling them for 200 euros flat out the door with shipping. By the way, however, that's the other thing. There's my fourth note is that the rollout on these things isn't for another 3 to 4 weeks. So by the end of May is when these things are actually available. So I guess they said, let's roll this out, a month or so beforehand, a month, 3 weeks to a month beforehand to build up all that anticipation. But see, we're a fickle group here in this scene. because the next new thing is going to come by and we'll forget about that. We'll say, hey, you know what? I'll get to that later on. Or, I'll check it out later on the secondhand market when everybody has tried it out and got tired of it and they'll sell it. And so, if you're going to roll something out like that, roll it out so that people can buy it then. It's hot then. Why strike a hot iron and then just let it sit there and cool for 2 to 3, 4 weeks? That, again, you know, maybe me, what do I know? But I'm just saying. Hold on here. That's not what I wanted. Let's look up the price on that Boss IR2. See what we got here. Over here in the Boss IR2, yep, is going for 223 euros. 223 euros. Actually, no, that's Melbourne, Australia. It's actually over here, it's going for closer to 289 euros. 289 euros. So about 110 euros difference between that and the Tone X, actually, there. And again, uh, the Tone X is trying to, by the way, cramp a lot of things. Push this for the EQ. Hold this button if you want to change this tab. Because they want to squeeze it down into that little thing. Kudos to them that you can power it through USB or through your standard 9 volt. That's pretty cool. Again, the USB would be there if you were using it just as a standalone for, again, a Marine, a standalone kind of thing. And I guess that's cool. But again, I just think that's very limiting. But it could be done. Yeah, 289 euros on that one. Yeah, probably about half the price. Oh, I was referring to the Tonex original. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, the Tonex original is way more. It's actually, I think the Tonex original, the new Tonex may be half the price, yeah, or a little bit less. Um, so impressive, again, like I said, but the hidden cost, because if the IRs so everybody said, well, the IRs kind of suck. So what did they do? They went out and they bought IRs, and IRs are not cheap. You can go to York Audio, and their average cost of their captures are about $14.99 each. So if you want a Fender capture, you want a 65 basement, whatever capture, you're going to run you about $15. There are some companies like Ownhammer who sell bundles where you can get bundles of these things that are their captures, but again, with IRs, there's quality issues there too, and that 5% can quickly turn into 10% in some of these cases, and so that's a hidden cost too. Um, Blues fan 63, welcome, sir. I was running late, a little late. Hope everyone is doing. We're all doing well, man. Thank you so much for asking us. Just spent 20 on one set. James says better late than never. Yeah, man. I'm so glad to see you guys. We're just chewing tonight, nothing in particular. I'm just kind of breaking down, how I look at this new Tone X1 launch and the pedal itself and comparing it with a couple of others. Now, of course, this has made the UA Audio Dream kind of passe at this point because again, so it really comes down to the Boss IR2 and this. These are really the two that are going head to head, and there's about $100 or 110 euro difference between those two. And again, like I said, if your mileage may vary, but the general consensus is that the stock IRs in both of these pedals are not the best. So you will find a hidden cost there. You will be buying IRs to load into this thing. Now, if you have to use of course, their infrastructure in order to load this into the pedal, what happens with that purchase 5 to 10 years from now? And its vulnerability to their system. So you have to think about that too in the long term, because hopefully you're buying it to keep it and use it, and for the long run. But in the long run, is it a wise thing to have something that has that extra level of investment in it, and also just having to hook it up to a computer if you want to get the most out of it? Now you can use it without a computer again, but you're really going to get the most out of it when you hook both of them up to a computer. Hit the like button. He is right, sir. What are we doing? We got 7 people liking it, and we got quite a significant number than that watching. Please hit that like button, guys. Hit those likes. Hit those likes. Get it up for me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Whether you're watching this live or in the rerun, I do appreciate it if you hit the like button. It does help so much. Whoa, MTS Guitar 5150 says, whoa, I'm looking at $30 Tonex captures. Again, guys, let's 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 cut through the game changer language. And let's look at this really realistically. There's our hidden costs to this thing. Uh, Really, if you want to get the most out of it, then it's going to cost you $30 here. And believe me, I've been through this, guys. I know how this works. Wasn't there a South Park episode about that? Pay for play games. You guys see that episode? That was real. $30 here, $15 here, and it starts to add up. And again, in 5 years from now, they're like, "Oh, sorry, fellas, we sold the company to XYZ, and they're writing a whole new thing." But they promise you that your old IRs that you paid money for will work. We promise you. We swear. On his engine, and behind their back, they're like this. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, my friends, that there are hidden costs to both of these pedals. Both of them. So already this puts the Tonex up in my mind because it's a cheaper pedal than the Boss in this regard. So that if I do, I have about 110 euros worth of difference between that and the Boss to play with in buying IRs. I guess it's one way you could look at that. And so, but there's that, or less, but up to 110 and that makes the Tonex a little bit more attractive too, doesn't it? Because you can buy that and invest in a little bit better quality IRs for it. If I did something like that, this would be a kind of a thing where I would load it up with whatever I thought that I was going to need going forward, and never again really think about or try to rely on any kind of software, and avoid any software updates, because that's the other thing that'll get you. Because when you got a pedal that needs a software update, you got a big freaking problem. Trust me. This $30 Harley Benton does not need a software update. It's fine as it is. It's the reason why out of that series, it's the one I held on to, because for what it is, it's awesome and doesn't need a software update. Keep this in mind, guys. I'm just pointing this out. This is Mike's review of the Tonex game changing. The game, yeah, it changed the game all right in your wallet. If you're not careful. I said, you can use their software to do your own captures of your own stuff, but I'm sorry, I don't have a 61 basement on me anywhere. So you're kind of regulated to using what they have. And why would I make captures of stuff that I already have? Maybe the Laney, because I would want to take this on the road and have that Laney sound with it. But then again, that cuts into it. I guess you could then get into software and have to create a layer where you've got the pedal you wanted to use, the stomp you, and then the Laney going. Yeah, again, like I said, we'll see how it really works when rubber hits the road. But again, it has its pluses and minuses. has its pluses and minuses. Again, IRs are not cheap, and making your own captures in some cases would be unnecessary, redundant actually, and probably a pain in the ass because again, um, and again, it comes down to the quality of what you're using to capture those with. And that assumes that you have uh, quality equipment in order to capture the best of your captures. So that sounds to me like more money you got to invest into this thing. So it's starting to sound a little bit like a money pit to me, just a little bit. Maybe it's me. Um, but again, at that price, at 200 euros, shipped with it. Again, what I would do is I would load it up. There are some free, or I'd be loath to, but I would try to find a bundle that has better IRs in it that I could buy. Load that in that sucker, and then just disconnect it from the computer from then on, and pray that it doesn't need it stops working because it needs a software update, which could lead to other problems. Just something to think about, guys. I throw this out there. I'm sorry I threw cold water on the fire. I hope I didn't, but uh, that's the reality of it. But at 200 euros for an investment, and for the time being, I think it's a winner. Maddie, two hats in the house. Hey, sir, how you doing? I think it's worth looking into. I think I might just purchase one. You know, it is actually something that I am. As a matter of fact, I'm 90% sure that I'll buy one, and I might actually buy it. Right now, you can pre-order it, so I'll put myself on the pre-order list and see, because it intrigues me. But at the same time, like I said, I would not want to have to rely on this thing, and I would not make it my first pedal, and I wouldn't invest in it like that. I would much rather have a bunch of these, because again, it's modular. So if one breaks down, you can replace it, or if one breaks down, you just move on and throw that out, plug it into the one that is working in the chain, and keep trucking. If that is either the Boss or the new Tone X get up on stage and crap up on you, you're in big trouble. You're in big trouble. I always talk about points of failure when it comes to your equipment. Always keep, kind of a thought in the back of your head, you know. And what you want to do is have as many redundancies built into that system as possible. It's nice to see everyone reaching low price points, though. Yeah, I agree. Again, as this technology, I was around when the CD first came out, the CD players. I remember I went to West LA Music, and they had a whole stack of boxes there sitting on the floor, and me and Jock saw them. We were together. So this had to be 88, 89, 87, 88. And they were like $2,000. Now they can't give them away because the cost of tech. And so, I'm sure you will see a Harley Benton version. I'm not kidding either. You'll see a Harley Benton, a Tomon version of something similar to this coming up, because the technology is getting there so that it's easy to do these at a cheaper price point. Of course, the smaller the footprint, the less bells and whistles that you're going to get. One of the other main complaints about this pedal is it doesn't have MIDI on it. I do believe the full size one does, and also stereo outs or loops or something like that. Something like that. Um, Especially when you want to try to use like a rotary. kind of thing, and you want to have a stereo. Although I suppose you could use a stereo Y plug. But anyway, I digress. There's just some things that they couldn't put in such a tiny footprint. So there's that. Walkman, yeah. Patrick, Mike, speaking big facts. Keep it coming. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Walkman, yeah, the Walkman. Look at how much the Walkman was. I was there. God, I was there for that too, back in the '70s when it first came out, and it was, the rich guys had those. It wasn't for everybody. Yeah, I know. It's so funny. You watch the modern TV shows and they try to recreate the '70s, and they always get it wrong because a lot of stuff not everybody had. And so there's that. Um, Prices of things come down. So you will probably see a Harley Benton version of this, Tone On version of this coming out eventually, or some other company coming out with something like it. And so that's exciting too. It is good. I agree with that. That's a true statement. It is a good thing. Funny thing about guitar gear, very little goes down to no value. A 1980s Eve Eventide will still cost you $3,000 or $4,000. Yeah, yeah. So especially the stuff again, and that's what I'm talking about. The hardware that I'm interested in. That's what I'm talking about. Getting the real stuff, of course. And I know just the guy who has it. And the question is will he sell it to me without me having to mortgage my kidneys? I'll just buy it a piece at a time. But um, if I went that route, if I started recording again, but yeah, some stuff holds its value, of course. Some of the other stuff that actually worked. And again, they didn't have to send it out to 50 influencers. We found out that, hey, this is good. The general public put their stamp of approval on it. We weren't sold on it as being, a game changer. It's a game changer. Every time I saw that in the title, I was like, next. And I was doing a lot of next. It's revolutionary. It's an interesting premise. let's let's hold off, on those kind of terms until we really, rubber hits the road with it, so to speak. Gets out there and gets toured around, gets beaten up a little bit. Let's see. Let's see. Patrick, Mike, can those Harley Benton pedals okay to US? Yeah, yeah, they ship. The US had to be different when dealing with, oh man, you got a 9 volt. This is a standard 9 volt plug. That'll work anywhere from here to Beijing, all the way down to where is that I went to? The Himalayas, man. That is an amazing thing to see. I don't know how many of you guys out there have ever seen the Himalayas, with your own eyes, but that is something to see. But yeah, it's good. It's groovy. That's why I like them. They're good. They're good to go. You don't have to. I don't have a lot of pedals up here, but every one of these runs off a 9 volt or battery. And again, redundancies. You know, I do like the fact that the Tonex runs off a 9 volt. Hey, you are welcome, Patrick. I am happy that the Tonex runs off USB as well as a 9 volt. That's impressive. That's an impressive feature. Of course, USB if you want to run it off a USB charger, that's awesome. Or if you want to run it to your computer, of course. Did my eyes jump there? I thought I saw something from Maddie Two Hats. Maybe not. um, there's that. So those are my thoughts on the Tonex One. Uh, it's kind of one. Oh, there he is. I thought I saw you, Maddie, in the corner. My game changer, AmpSim 7 blew my mind. I've heard that. I've heard that. I've heard that. You're not the first person that I've heard that. So, you know, there's a lot of stuff out there, that's interesting. But again, let's that rollout was too much. Clickbait. No, I don't think it's clickbait. That's no, because there's actually something. There's actually something here. Um, but I just think that in the brief, because when they send stuff like that out there to pay promotion, they give you a brief, and the brief lists how they will like it to be shot, how many times you want to mention the product, out to mention the product, and things like that nature. But I think using words like game changer and stuff like that, it's almost like AI wrote the script, and these AI wrote the brief. It's almost like AI wrote the brief. They ran their brief through Chat GBT. And it's just, for some folks, true gearheads, it's not necessarily. It's just really not necessary. We got certain guys that we know are good, and you know who those guys are because some of them you gave the pedal to. Everybody else was extraneous. It just wasn't necessary. Nothing blows my mind. The Sans Amp Tech 21 stuff sounds epic. Yeah, that California, Joyo California sound and the Americana and all of those are just copies off the Sans Amp circuits, and they sound great in themselves. Um, so much so that the Joyo California sound, it has got a reputation among just in and of itself, even though it's based off the Tech 21 New York stuff. Yeah. So again, game changer. It just depends upon your application. For my application, it sounds interesting. The output of that is not can not only go to an output of a cabinet, or I guess you'd have to have power amp, but anyway, of at least a 1x12 in my case, combo. It also acts as a headphone amp, so you can plug your headphones into it. So that's interesting. Because if you have a USB charger on your pedal board and you're running that with a few other USB pedals, then if it's the charger's got a full charge in it, you're good to go. You don't need to plug it into anything. You just need your guitar, a wireless set like I reviewed here, and again, you're in heaven. You can walk around the house, walk around the studio. Nothing new under the sun. This is correct. That's from the book of Ecclesiastics. Nothing is new under the sun, Solomon wrote. And he's right. He was right. And so dig that. Matty Two Hats. Sorry, missed the conversation. Ha, you tried the new Boss IR pedal. It actually sounds great. Yeah, I was just talking about that. That again, my question to you, Maddie, is did you buy any second party IRs? And what were your thoughts on the stock ones that it came with? Again, out there on the internet, it's saying both in the case of the Tonex and in the Boss, you would do yourself a favor by investing in better quality IR. So I'm curious. You're the guy who bought the Boss, and so I'd like to hear from you on that, if you please. So that's my thoughts on it, guys. Again, let's the Bernays in the marketing. My thing is like that text there that I was reading you. It really didn't turn me on there. It can be edited via the Tonex librarian with over 20,000 free tone models and premium collections. Ding ding, with cost in brackets available on the iKey Tone Net. But what happens when the 20,000 free tone models all of a sudden go to subscription model on you? Which could happen. Happened to me. It's not like a precedent hasn't been set with that. That could happen. Got the Boss R2, mostly had two hats. I don't own it, but thought it might be cool in the studio or live studio guys going for like, yeah. Again, that's the application I see for the Tonex, so they're comparable in that regard. But there are hidden costs here, is the point of this, this diatribe. And do you feel like you want to well, again, like I said, that would, in my mind, that makes the Tonex more attractive because, again, at least over here in Europe, the Boss is more expensive. And And again, but what I would do is just load it up with those 20 presets with what I think that desert island it. Basically, I would desert island that. These are 20 presets. I got 20 slots. These are the 20 things if I went to a desert island that I'd want to have, and that's it. And don't expect anything else from it. And if it hangs as a standalone pedal in that regard, and it doesn't start blinking on you because it's 2 years in and they've programmed in that it needs to be updated, and you do the update and you lose all your stuff and then you got to start all over again. It sounds like more trouble than it's worth, kids, to me. But it is at 179, 200 euros shipped. It might be an interesting one. It might be okay to check it out. No small stir. I had the Tech 21, the Screaming Blonde, and I like it too. Yeah, it's a good. This is the Tech 21 stuff. You have it. Hold on to it. Never let it go. One of the sorriest things I ever did is letting one of my Tech 21 New York. What was that I had go? What was that I had in Singapore? Had it for a hot minute. Didn't know what I had, and got talked out of it by a drummer who moved to California. Anyway, hold on to that stuff because that stuff is good stuff. And they're not making more of it, are they? No, that company is defunct. So yeah, I hope that helped break a little bit of the spell on this one. you know, I hope that I broke the spell a little bit. I'll say again, if you guys understand my meaning on this one, by pointing out a few things. I have questions. I have my questions. But it passes the smell test enough for me to move on to stage two of actually buying one. So we shall see. But there are so many other fish to fry. I was telling you guys last week that I was negotiating on getting an Epiphone or Orville by Gibson Epiphone SG from 1989. And because there were some not major issues, but there were enough minor ones where I thought that they could be a little bit more lenient with the price. I was able to negotiate with them, but I'm glad I didn't because I came across a 2004. So right at the edge, my cutoff point is 2005. I won't go anywhere past that. A 2004 Fender um, made in Japan that has the USA pickups in it. Though from 2004 in its original case, another one in its original case, in really minty condition. And this one is nice because again, they put the USA model pickups in it. You had two options. You had the what is it called? It's a reissue, so it's like a 62 reissue S and a 62 reissue TX, which stood for the or T, which is for the Texas Special TS, the Texas Special pickup. So you had the U.S. Texas Special pickups you could have, or just the standard U.S. pickups that they had at that time, and it's a great strat. And so I'm glad I found that because I've always been interested in this particular model. Actually, they're pretty pricey. They're not cheap. Even being a 2006, they're in the 14 to 1500 euro range. Um, Out in the wilds. But certainly that is one. I bought another, by the way. I also bought another one of those Fender 62 reissue basses that I just reviewed. I like that bass. I found it in metallic candy apple red. I like that bass so much I bought another one. I might actually hold it. I just reviewed it. If you guys haven't checked it out, I released that video just yesterday where I put it up head to head with the Harley Benton. That one sold. That one moved on immediately. My client immediately told me he wanted it, but I bought another one. I like that bass so much. It's funny. It's very rare for me to buy two back to back. So we shall see that being unboxed again along with that Fender Strat coming. So two Fenders coming through. Interesting enough. It's getting we were getting Fender heavy here. Whoa, seems pretty pricey for the Strat. Yeah, that's what they're asking for that one because of you know whether I agree with it or whether I like it or not. There are premiums put on things, and there's a premium put on this model again because you can get the USA model, so it's a made in Japan Strat, which already has a high provenance to it, along with US pickups. And then some come with the Texas specials, which are actually hot pickups, are considered to be pretty nice. So there's a premium there. It's the market. Go figure. I only deal in it. I don't write the rules. Mike, I saw that video. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Manny Huats, do you find buyers first mics and then do the brokering for them? Yeah, it works both ways. Sometimes I'll have a guy. I've had since I really got into this, a couple of guys who said, "I'm looking for this. Could you get it for me?" I had two of them. Interesting enough, because they were left-handed players, and left-handed guitars, especially with guys looking for a specific one, that's the real guitar safari. That's the needle in the haystack. Those are the two hardest finds. I found them, but they were because they were left-handed players. Interesting enough. Fun small business get it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you want to see your hair grow gray prematurely, because a lot of stress, and just because I sold some, I got to have the client. There are terms and conditions to the contracts and the EU rules that you have to follow. So it's just like any other business. It's got its risk and it's got its rewards. Again, I'm dealing with a currency exchange right now that works in my benefit. Will it be the same 6 months from now? I don't know. So I can't really, it'd be unwise for me to think, and I'm not the type of person who thinks that things now are going to be the same 6 months from now. Even it's gotten that bad, actually, in my mind. It used to be a couple of years. It's gotten down to 6 month increments at this point, ladies and gentlemen, because of the world that we're in. And that's why I look at this Tone X pedal. I'm like, okay, let's put all that aside and just look at it 5 to 10 years from now. Where would the software be? And I don't feel good about it. I just don't. I don't. I don't. Have you guys seen the Uduo AI platform? Right now, there's a company called UDIO AI. So go to Google, type in UDIO AI platform. And this is a free for now. It's in beta right now, just like ChatGPT was, an AI music platform. This is the AI platform that put guys like me who used to write jingles out of business. See, I used to get paid quite handsomely to write 15-second bumpers, 30-second bumpers for TV commercials. It was a wonderful business. It was lovely. And if you had the ability to write in any style of music that they asked for, from orchestrating something, like a waltz, all the way down to hip hop, then you were golden. And it was a gravy train that went on for years. But this UDIO AI platform is the end for me in that business. It spells the doom because you can type in this platform, uh, essentially, where is it? Here it is. Make your music. And what you do is you type in a song about the danger of ambition. So you can tell them what you can tell it. And by the way, this is not just with music, it's also with vocalists. And it composes the music, it picks you a singer, picks you a band, and it gives it to you by prompts. I'm looking for something upbeat and urban with a female vocalist, and this thing will produce it for you like that. So what's this here? I did composing for ads years, but yeah, AI is gonna smash it. This is the one that's gonna smash it right here, and things of its ilk. This UDIO beta that they're running. Patrick says, "Wow, I'm old." Yeah, man. Yeah, me too. Because this thing, yeah, and let's see here. Here's the thing. This is AI with an AI vocalist. Okay. All right. That was AI generated. The vocalist was not a human vocalist. The musicians were not, there was no studio that this was recorded in. Did you guys hear that? I don't know if it was loud enough. Let me know if you guys heard that, if you could hear that. Or all of you, or all of you guys sitting there like, Maddie says we're screwed. Haha, yeah. Did you hear that? Did you guys hear that? Let me give you another little taste. Here's some country. I'm sorry, doubling up with my playback. But did you hear that? That little bit I paid there? Okay. None of that was done by a human being. We have moved into the Star Trek age for sure. Beam me up, Scotty, because I'm done. I'm done. Because I can't compete with that. I can't. As a human being, I can't. What I can compete with is I can give it a soul and I can give it emotion and I can be really, I can do the things that the human condition can not be replicated with this AI, but for TV commercials purposes, you don't need to be that deep, man. You don't need to be that deep. So now, what does this mean? TV commercials are either going to be AI generated or they're going to be songs that are pushing catalogs that are owned by the majors. So I'm out of that. I'm out of that business. I've been shut out because I can't compete with this. It's just not possible. Patrick says, "Man, the reruns of the Jetsons and Star Trek from the early '70s and cell phones. Yeah, you get to see it with your own eyes. Yeah, I could get into telling you that one of the advisors on the Star Trek TV show was an actual scientist who actually was talking about devices that they were planning to build, like the flip phone. The tricorder or the communicator, excuse me, on the original Star Trek later became the flip phone, the precursor for our modern cell phone. Something to think about there. That's one example. There are many from Star Trek. There are many, but I won't go down that rabbit hole right now. But yeah, man, I went to on this website and checked it out, and I was like, holy cow, holy cow. Forget about it. So again, but one thing this AI cannot do, well, actually technically could, because if you hook it up with a 3D generated figure, then you could actually project that on a stage and you could have a 3D projected singer in the future going on. You know, we're moving into we're moving into some interesting times, folks. And this ain't good. But it's the way things go, and so things change, you know. And you either adapt or you get swallowed up, and that's just the truth of it. I still remember the early TV dinners with a toy before the microwave of the day. Yeah, those early dinners was for oven. Yeah, I remember those too. I had one what was that company in the States? Salisbury. They had the Salisbury steak, and that was my favorite one. It had the mashed potatoes. It was almost there was no difference between that and the food that they served on the airplane, to be frank with you, because that was heated up in the oven as well. Actually, it's no different than the airplane food they serve these days because that's heated up in the oven. It's not microwave. But yeah, I remember those. I actually liked the Salisbury steak. That was as a kid, that was my favorite one. Hungry Man. Hungry Man was the name of it. Say Hungry Man dinners. And when my father was on a flight and my mother did not feel like cooking, the Hungry Man's came out. But I liked it. I liked the gravy with the sirloin steak. That's funny. You reminded me of something I haven't thought about in many a year. Steve says, should AI be legislated, banned for our purposes? Well, that genie's already out of the bottle. You know, once the horses are out of the stable, it's too late to start planning the locks for the barn doors. you know, so I don't know what they can do. And you're correct, though. The real purpose of our legislators is to protect us from certain things, but who's watching the watchers? Well, Mike, we're old, but that's fine. Uh, yeah, not the cheap wine. Yeah, flashbacks. Yeah, flashbacks to the '70s. I told you I have a very clear memory of stuff from 19. I say '77, but I can actually go back to 1975 on. A very clear memory from 1975 on to now. Some things I've forgotten, like Hungry Man dinners, until just now, but it's there. It's jangling around in the back of my head. But none of this surprises me. But I just thought I would close out tonight by sharing that with you guys and letting you hear that. I wanted you guys to hear that. If you haven't heard that, that's next. That now that's a game changer. That's a true game changer. Not that friggin' Tonex pedal. The Tonex pedal is made irrelevant by this because ain't nobody playing guitar to do these tracks anyway anymore. The computer's doing it. So what the frick de frack do you need a Tonex pedal for? You ever think about that? Thank you, Patrick, for showing up. I do appreciate you showing up. I do appreciate all you guys showing up for these conversations between us folks. Yeah, and think about that one. I want to thank all you guys for supporting me by just showing up. The fact that you're here and the fact that you watch my my regular content when it comes out and you make comments down in the comments section and give me love, as they say, it means a lot to me. For those of you who are new here and you don't know, you can go to bandcamp.com, look up the Asanoki album, Mike McWilliams. You can also look up, you'll go to my page, you find two albums there that are for sale. Those are really recorded with 100% intention of being a support for this channel. I don't sell coffee mugs, no t-shirts yet, but I do sell music. And if you want to support me as an independent artist, while we still exist. See, the live stage is still something they can't take away from us. They're working on it. But it's this stuff is driving me to wanting to actually play live again, guys. Actually, it's really driving me. This right here, actually, because they can't take that away from. That's the one thing they can't take away from me yet is that I can rock a stage. So I can rock a stage. So there is that. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for showing up. You guys take care. I will see you coming up this Wednesday. You can support the channel by going over to Bandcamp, Asanoki, Mike McWilliams. Take a look at the video that I released yesterday on my regular content. Harley Benton versus the Fender Jazz Bass. I must like the Fender Jazz Bass enough. I bought a second one. But check that out, and I will check you guys out later. Thank you so much. Good night.